Hello, everyone, once again. I'm glad to see everyone after the New Year break, at least for Russian participants. We had quite a long break, 10 days. I hope everyone spent it productively, or maybe not productively, at least you had some rest. Well, let me first introduce myself. My name is Ekaterina Redkina, and I'm a teacher trainer and a presenter for Cambridge Assessment English. Also, I'm an English teacher and a psychologist, and I work for Moscow Pedagogical State University. At this moment, maybe we met with you at some other webinars or seminars. So maybe you've seen me before, maybe not. So we will have this webinar for 2 hours, well, more or less. Usually my timing is good. And I would like to make it useful for you. So today we'll talk about CLIL, TKT CLIL module, and I want it to be both theoretical and practical, okay? So my recommendation, probably find a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, something to write, because otherwise it will be not so useful. I will give you some examples of tasks, and I would like you to do them with us. Also, today we will try to do some tests outside this webinar room. We don't normally do that, but I've decided we can try to make it more interactive this time. So at some point I will send you a link to an outside resource. If you can't open it, or if you don't want to, you can stay in the webinar room, obviously, and you don't need to log off, right? Log out. You stay here, you just follow the link, try something there for a few minutes, and then come back. But I will tell you when we will do this, okay? So I'm very much impressed to see so many people from different countries, because I was told initially that it's a webinar for Russian audience, so I'm kind of double stressed to see people from different countries. And before we start, probably last thing I would like to say is that for the last 2 weeks I've been ill. Apparently it was COVID-19. So good news, I've survived, everything is fine. But I might be not as quick as I usually am, or I might be a little bit slow, and so I apologize in advance, okay? Today is my first webinar after my illness, so hopefully it's going to be good, but I apologize in advance, okay? Yes, thank you. I try to keep safe, yes. Okay, without further ado, let's start. Well, we'll start with something not exactly connected with TKT, and I want you to make sure that you know what it is, right? So this is Common European Framework of Reference, and everyone knows it because we use it for learners, right? When we want to assess their level. Now, the question is, if you want to assess yourself as a teacher, would it be okay to use this framework? And I hope you know that this framework will not work nicely to assess your teaching qualification, right? It will be good to assess your level of English, but if you want to find out how good you are as a teacher, this is not what you would be using. And if you want to find out your teaching qualification and the level of, where you are on this framework, there is a special teaching framework designed by Cambridge, and this framework has 4 stages. Maybe you've seen it, maybe not. Well, if you've seen it before, then it's a quick revision. So there are 4 stages called Foundation, Developing, Proficient, and Expert. And before I move on, I will quickly ask you where you think you are now, at what stage? Maybe you're an expert already, or maybe you feel you're just at the foundation level. So just a quick note. Developing, okay. Lots of developing teachers, okay, fine. Foundation, expert, nice. Okay, so of course it's quite difficult to assess yourself because how can you do it? You can do it just intuitively, right? Yeah, I see you writing, thank you very much. if you ask me, I would probably not be able to say it exactly as well, because where is the scale, right? How to assess? So first of all, at each stage, there are 5 aspects. So before you quickly decide that, oh, I'm a proficient, or I'm an expert, or whatever, we need to think about these 5 aspects at each level. And as you can see, I will not go into detail about each of these aspects, but just quickly look through. If you want to assess yourself, you need to assess several, like 5 aspects, right? You need to know about learning and the learner. You need to know about teaching, learning, and assessment. You need to have certain language ability. You need to have certain knowledge about language, and you need to be willing to develop professionally. So all these 5 aspects are very important. So altogether, if we combine 5 aspects and 4 stages, you will get this huge table. You don't need to read it now, okay? I just want to show you how it looks like. So now probably it's going to be easier for you if you read it carefully. You will see, oh, at this aspect I'm proficient. Here I'm only at the foundation stage. Of course, you can intuitively assess yourself using this rubric. However, intuition here probably is not the most effective method, and as you all know, there are certain qualifications that were designed to assess teachers as professionals. And I'm sure you're all familiar with these names of CELTA, TKT, Delta, right? At least now you see how they all are, where they are on this scale. So you see that TKT, CELTA, more or less at the same level. Delta is much further. And today we talk about TKT, right? Because this is our focus. Okay, so very quickly, maybe you know it, maybe not, just a very quick revision about TKT in general. So what is TKT? TKT is Certificate in English, in Teaching English, right? And it looks like a test. It's a big test that shows the knowledge about teaching. Good thing about TKT is that it has several modules. I'll quickly show which ones, and they are all freestanding. It means that you can take any module in any order, or you can take only one if you feel like, and that's it. And no one will be asking you, to collect all of them. It's internationally accepted, so there is a high chance that if you want to work abroad, or if you want to work in the international school in Russia, or even in just a regular Russian school, many administrations, many schools already take TKT as a valid document of your professional knowledge. So it's very flexible. Good thing about it, that it's very flexible. And as I said, you can take any module in any order and at any stage of your professional development. You might be newbie, right? Or you might be an experienced teacher. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So also, it doesn't matter whether you're a teacher of a primary school or secondary, or if you work with adult learners, because TKT tests the general knowledge. Of course, if you work with young learners, there is one of the modules that you might be more interested in, but generally TKT suits everyone. And again, that's good. Also, it's very accessible. Why? Because there are no formal requirements. So if suddenly you decide to take TKT, the procedure is very simple. You just apply, you register for the exam, and then you take it. As for preparation, you can prepare yourself at home, or you can find some courses which are also available. But I prepared myself, for example. I didn't go to any courses, so it's very, very accessible for everyone. Which materials to use, I will also I will show you. I will mention that. So let's quickly see how much you know about TKT. Okay. If you know, good. If you don't know, try to guess. So how many modules, core modules, are there in TKT? Okay, people are familiar with that. 3 modules, yes, 3 modules exactly, 3 core modules. Thank you. Let's stop. How many additional modules are there? Second question. Yeah, thank you. Just 2 additional modules. Right. Well done. You know everything. Good. Question number 3. How many exam papers does each module have? So you take one module out of, well, any of them. How many exam papers? So now we kind of disagree here. Each module actually has 1 exam paper, and this exam paper is a set of questions. And next question, it's number 4. How many questions are there? 80, 100, or 120? Yeah, most people agree that it's 80, and it's absolutely right. Yes, 80 questions. Then, how much time? How much time do you have to do this 80 questions? And again, 80 minutes. 80 minutes, exactly. So it's about 1 minute for 1 question, more or less. And it's absolutely enough. Well, especially if you train and if you practice at home before the exam, you will understand that it's more than enough, more than enough. Okay, and now let's look at question number 6. Which of the following is not one of the task types in TKT? So we have matching, multiple choice, sequencing, odd one out, true and false. Odd one out, true, false, true, false. Thank you for writing. Matching. Oh no, matching is one of the most common ones, I would say. And yes, people who say true, false are absolutely right. True, false is not in on this test, which, for example, I'm happy about because I hate true, false tasks personally. I don't like them at all. So let's have a look once again. 3 core modules, 2 additional modules, 1 exam paper, 80 minutes, 80 questions, different types of tasks except for true and false. Okay, so this is sort of a general overview. Yeah, I see people are writing they don't like true, false either. Yeah, I think it's tricky. For me, it's really tricky. So these are 3 modules that I'm not going to talk about today, but just for you to see, to have an overview, these are core modules. Module 1 is about language and background to language learning and teaching. Second module, it's more about planning and using different resources and using them effectively for teaching. And module 3, it's about classroom management, teacher as a manager of a learning process. And 2 other modules, they're called specialist modules. They are in yellow now. So we have TKT Young Learners. And again, that's not what we're talking about today, but if you teach young learners, this is probably where you can try yourself at. And today's focus is TKT CLIL, one of the specialist modules. And honestly, I have only this module, so I didn't take any of other TKT modules because I have CELTA and 2 modules of Delta, and I just didn't need it, you know. As for TKT CLIL, I'm a big fan of CLIL methodology and CLIL teaching. That's why I took it, and I found it really useful. I'll say why. Okay, there is a question in the chat, and it's from Ksenia. Thank you very much for this question. What about KAL module, K-A-L? It used to be within the TKT modules, but since 2016, it's not there anymore. It was called Module Knowledge About Language, KAL. The book still exists, the preparation book. I have it. It's a very good one, though there is no module anymore. Okay, so right, let's talk about CLIL module. Very quickly, what it is and why you might find it useful, right? So what does CLIL module test? Trying to sum it up, because it actually tests a lot of things, and if you look at the TKT CLIL module preparation book, and if you look at the contents, you will see that it's quite massive and there are many things. Trying to sum it up, you see there are like 3 points here. The first one, it's about different skills that learners acquire, and we'll talk about them today. Language skills, communicative skills, thinking skills, different types of skills. Also, we talk in CLIL about language that learners need to learn. Second point, it's about planning. Planning a single lesson, planning a series of lessons. So planning a lesson within CLIL approach, which is quite specific. It is similar to planning a regular lesson, but it has its own, peculiarities. And the third block, big one, it's about lesson delivery. So how you actually teach it, what tasks, activities, exercises you might use, and how you assess it. Because we have only 2 hours today, it's of course not possible to squeeze in all the information about CLIL, but I will guide you through the main blocks, so you will get an overview what CLIL is about, how it looks like, and well, hopefully you will learn also something. Question, can you take CLIL module only without core modules? Yes, that's what I'm saying. I took only CLIL. I don't have any others, and it's absolutely fine. You can take any of the modules in any order or only one. Now, again, who is CLIL suitable for? There is a variety of teachers who might be interested in CLIL. Maybe you're a subject teacher. Most likely we don't have subject teachers here because I think most of you are English teachers, but I know that, for example, in Kazakhstan, that there was a big program on teaching subject teachers how to use CLIL methodology, right? Yeah, so maybe you're a subject teacher, I don't know, of physics or biology, and you need to use CLIL methodology to implement some English elements, to do it in L2. Maybe you're an English teacher who wants to teach curricular subjects in English, right? Maybe you are so-called English and as an additional language teacher. It's not so common for Russia, I think, but well, still. CLIL methodology can be useful for you even if you don't teach any CLIL courses specifically, but if you teach regular course books, because most modern course books, especially for young learners and teenagers, they will have a CLIL section. For example, if you take Cambridge book More for teenagers, it has CLIL. If you take Eyes Open, it also has CLIL. I don't teach young learners, so I can't give you names, but I know that a lot of young learners' books also have CLIL elements, so this could be useful for you. Also, teachers with a lot of experience might want to take CLIL test to refresh their knowledge. And also, if you're now transferring from teaching simply English to teaching some curricular subject, this could be interesting. So what I can say is that you can prepare for CLIL and take a test, or a lot of people find it actually very useful, the preparation itself. So don't do it for the sake of the test only. If you take the basic book, I'm showing it again, the TKT CLIL module. If you use this book as a main resource, you will also find a lot of useful things. And then, to prove your knowledge, you can do the test. But even the preparation is very useful. So now, let's have a quick overview of CLIL, what it is, because maybe, well, you are not very well familiar with it. So first of all, CLIL, of course, stands for Content and Language Integrated Learning. And the whole idea is that non-language subject, so biology, chemistry, physics, art, music, history, science, they are taught not in a foreign language. So it's not about lectures, like biology in English. It's taught with the help of English and through English. So this, one of the, if you want to start going deeper into CLIL, you might be interested in this author's Coyle, Hood and Marsh. That's a basic book from 2010, latest edition, I guess. And they say that CLIL, it's dual-focused approach, and it's very important. You need to understand that CLIL, it's about teaching content and teaching language. How balanced it is, that's a different question. We'll talk about it in a minute, because CLIL can be more focused on subject, or CLIL can be more focused on language, and it's absolutely fine. Good news about CLIL is that you don't have one single model for CLIL. So if you look at CLIL models all over the world, you will see that actually they're all different. It means that you as a teacher have a lot of flexibility how to apply it. However, the methodology is more or less the same, right? Especially if you take TKT CLIL exam as the basis, it gives you a lot of underground knowledge, it gives you necessary terminology, and in different countries, you will be able to use this, practically, though modules can be different, right? Now, what are these modules? As I said, they are very flexible, and let's look at different ways how CLIL might look like. So first of all, and these are some useful terminology for TKT CLIL exam as well, for the test. Most likely you will see soft CLIL, hard CLIL in the test. What it means? It means that on this continuum of CLIL, soft CLIL will be more with language support and a lot of scaffolding in language. Hard CLIL, it's when most of the focus is given on content and there is fewer language support. So this is soft CLIL, hard CLIL. Also, CLIL education can be different in terms of frequency. So it could be heavy, meaning that you have regular CLIL lessons. And I know that in Europe, this is a common module, let's say in some areas of Spain, in Finland, in some schools in Italy. In Russia, I think that depends on the school. I don't know many places where a CLIL program would be, obligatory and regular, but I know that a lot of teachers use CLIL as some elements, as additional elements for their course. So this might be a light CLIL, which you kind of implement once in a while. Then proportion can be different. Again, I don't think this is very much suitable for Russian realia, but it might be possible that in different countries it might work. So when you teach the whole class, or when you maybe have small groups or mini groups and they come at different time and you have maybe some projects for them, CLIL oriented, then it would be partial CLIL. And of course, if we talk about language, this could be more bilingual CLIL when you use both languages. In our case, because I'm Russian, that's why I'm talking about this. It's English and Russian, or it's monolingual when it's only English. As you see, the right column, hard, heavy, total, monolingual, this is a more, let's say, heavy, difficult variant of CLIL. Left column is like a light variant, and you are always like moving along this continuum. What else I would like to say here is that CLIL works for all ages. Originally, we tend to think that CLIL is used mostly for young learners and teenagers. Well, it is not, because if you teach at university, like myself, you can also use CLIL methodology for university students. It's called tertiary education, CLIL, tertiary CLIL. So that's why I like it so much. It's for everyone. So, okay, this is a quick slide to show you what CLIL modules exist in different countries. So, Sometimes we have a subject syllabus, a subject program that is adapted for English teaching. Sometimes we have cross-curricular projects when several teachers might work together. It also happens, again, maybe not the most popular model for Russian teachers, but I know it exists. Then I think the most common one, it's when a language teacher decides to implement some content-oriented elements, add them. Maybe you teach English, but you think, oh, what if I give them something on art, or music, or history, or biology? Then you are using CLIL. Maybe you've been using CLIL for years, you just don't know it. So, or maybe not. And also, this one is popular. I know the last point is popular for summer schools, when you choose one topic and then you study it from different perspectives, from different maybe subjects. Maybe you study ecology and you have an ecological project, but you decide that you would like to look at it from point of view of geography, then history, then politics, and so on. And usually for regular classes, we might be limited in terms of timing, and maybe you don't have much time to do this. But I know for summer schools, so teachers who, you know, have sort of language camps, they do this, and usually students like it because it's a big project and it's interdisciplinary. Well, let me quickly look at the chat because I see questions. Well, at least I think I saw some questions. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people confuse it with subject teaching in English. That's true, but there are a lot of how to say, intersections and similarities. For example, if you teach just a subject in English, for example, I'm a psychologist originally, and if I give lectures on psychology in English, probably I wouldn't call it CLIL, I would call it EMI, English as a Medium of Instruction. Some people still call it CLIL, but again, that depends on how much support in English you give. If I give a lecture, but I also give a lot of scaffolding in language, I give grammar, vocabulary, we discuss discourse, we discuss functional language, and I somehow put it together with the lecture, maybe it's even closer to CLIL. So I wouldn't label it. Probably doesn't matter how you label it, but well, okay. Oh, something else. Okay. As for past papers, yes, I know there are not many, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm the person to ask why there are not so many. I guess like free and online, there are several past papers you can find. Probably you can find more. You can buy them, but I'm not sure here. So I'm not the right person to answer this question, why there are not many past papers. Okay, to sum it up, before we'll try to practice a little bit. So about CLIL. CLIL is content driven. So how you plan your lesson, it's very important that it's all directed by and guided by the content, not by the language. Language is also, it comes from the content. However, you always pay attention to two elements, language and content. And as I said before, you balance them depending on maybe the level of your students, their motivation, their age, depending on your time. And from lesson to lesson, these balance might be different. So you might be more like doing hard CLIL today and soft CLIL next week, and it's absolutely fine. It's also CLIL. Well, I think it's kind of logical that we deal with language lexically, more lexically than grammatically in CLIL methodology. And also what is important, and make a mental note for the future and for the test, that fluency here is more important than accuracy. and we are thinking about communicative purpose and communicative achievement of our students. That's why we're thinking more about fluency rather than accuracy. Also, scaffolding here is very important. Why? Because imagine you need to learn a subject in a different language. I don't know if you had such experience in your life. Well, I had at a university. We studied psychology in English and in French. And I should say that though my English level was high, I still struggled. So what I'm saying is that there is a lot of scaffolding that should be done from the part of the teacher to help learners. And also CLIL is famous for developing cognitive skills, critical thinking, and to help learners at all ages develop this, of course, you need to support them in terms of language, in terms of skills. So there is a lot of scaffolding going on at all stages of the lesson. Language is used to learn as well as to communicate. And I think it's clear, right? Because we learn, again, biology or psychology or whatever, to communicate about it, but also to learn something about this subject itself. And why it is usually it is considered that CLIL students are more motivated than regular students. Well, because topics are more interesting and because they learn something new. As for skills, usually a CLIL lesson looks like an integrated skills lesson. So normally, if you teach a regular lesson, you would probably focus more, I don't know, writing lesson or a reading lesson or speaking, listening. In CLIL, most likely, each lesson you will be doing everything. And everything, all skills, will be grouped around content. So that's in a nutshell. And lessons in CLIL are most likely text-based, right? Because imagine you need to study, oh, well, I don't know, different species of animals living in a particular area. Well, I don't know. How would you give this information to your students? Of course, through a text. So CLIL is text-based. And you normally start with a reading or a listening. So this slide gives you most common and good resources you might be using for, you know, if you're interested in CLIL methodology. I would say that the basic book, again, this is the one I've shown before, this orangish one. I would say even this one could be enough, together with, let me try to show it here, together with a handbook for teachers and TKT Glossary. So I would say these three, the white ones and the orange one, would probably be enough to start. Then I would definitely look at CLIL Activities. That's on the right. A very good book with lots of activities that could be adapted for different, you know, purposes, whatever subject you are teaching. Two blue books on the left. The top one, this is the classical one by Coyle, Hood and Marsh, and everyone who ever is involved in CLIL, they usually know this book because that's the Bible, you know. For the exam, probably it's even too much, right? And the CLIL resource pack, it gives you some practical things to use. So if you really want to try and teach it out in the classroom, you can try this one. Okay. Okay, so I will show these books again later before we finish. So, but if you want to take a picture or make some notes, feel free. Okay. Now, coming more like closer to the exam structure, as we've already found out, CLIL has 80 questions, 80 minutes. However, as you can imagine, CLIL has certain blocks and elements, and these are the key CLIL elements that you will find throughout the test, throughout the book, and we will try to look at, I would say, most of them today. So first block is called Knowledge of CLIL and Principles of CLIL. And here we're talking about CLIL aims, rationale. We talk about different skills that CLIL involves, and also language. There are certain peculiarities here. Then a second block, which is very important for anyone who is interested in CLIL, that would be lesson preparation. Here we talk about planning a lesson or planning a series of lessons. So you maybe want to build a whole program, syllabus. And also this block will contain questions about resources, materials, activity types. So in the test, in the exam, you might be given certain activities or types of activities, and you need to match them, for example, with the skills or with language focus or with something else. So materials, resources, activity types. Number 3, this is about lesson delivery. So this block might be asking you about classroom language and about scaffolding, how to scaffold a learner most effectively. And final one is about assessment, how to assess a CLIL lesson. Good news is that CLIL assessment is not very much different from a regular assessment. And the types of assessment are more or less the same. Okay, now let's look at CLIL principles. And, well, I'm pretty sure that's the most obvious question from all, but still. On the left, these 4 principles, as you see, they all start with C letter. That's why they are called 4 Cs. Could you please write down what these principles are? And while I'm waiting, there is a question, what do you mean by scaffolding? That's a very good question. Scaffolding, that's a term which means, broadly speaking, it is support that we give to our learners so that they can achieve better results. So, for example, if you give them a text to read, but you know that there are a few blocking vocabulary items that they will have difficulty with, you normally pre-teach this vocabulary, right? So pre-teaching vocabulary is a way to scaffold your learners. So scaffolding has many faces, and it's different types of support, right? Right, 4 skills. I see. Content, culture, communication, cognition. Yes. Exactly. Absolutely right. And yes, absolutely. Thank you. This is the left column, 4 Cs. Right column, I see many people have written that as well. Obviously, these are 4 regular skills: speaking, writing, reading, listening. Let me show this on one slide. So 4 Cs is the basic methodology for CLIL. It means that more or less every CLIL lesson and every CLIL syllabus should have these multiple focuses. So every lesson you will teach will somehow cover particular content. It will involve particular cognitive skills, for example, skills of comparison or skills of analysis. Every lesson will have certain elements of communication about the content, of course. So not just communication about the weather or just regular stuff, but communication about the content. Maybe they need to agree on something. Maybe they need to compare something together. So communication. And a good CLIL lesson normally has some elements of culture, meaning that you might be comparing different things that are common for this or that culture. Let's say if you're talking about ecology, right? I don't know. I like ecology topic, that's why I often give it as an example. Ecology as something that exists in Russia and how we deal with it, or how, I don't know, other countries deal with ecological problems. So comparing different cultural phenomena and regional phenomena, these could be the element of introducing culture. reading, listening, writing, speaking, these are, I'm sure you know, these are our 4 skills. And normally CLIL lesson, as I said, will be integrating all of them. You might be starting with the type of text, either reading or listening. Then there could be some discussion of this text. There could be some cognitive analysis of these texts. Maybe they fill in a diagram, a graph, or maybe they create some spidergram or mind map. And then you can finish up with a small writing, whatever, that depends what kind of writing. I haven't mentioned it earlier, but I probably will say it now, is that for CLIL, diagrams, all sorts of visual figures, this is a very common thing. I'll show you on my slides different types. We'll see how many you know, but this is very, very common. This is an example of how these 4 C's can be studied in different subjects. So you see the examples from biology and from geography. So I will not read everything, of course, but just look quickly through the table. Let's say content. If you're teaching a CLIL, biology CLIL lesson, you might be studying plants. If it's a geography lesson, then maybe it could be rivers or ecosystem or population or whatever. These are only examples. Communication. So what we can do, we can compare and contrast something. For example, plants and fungi. Or we can create or find activities that will make them discuss cause and effect. Why something appeared, how it appeared, where something comes from. Cognition. There are lots of cognitive skills involved in a good CLIL lesson. It could be also, comparison, analysis, classification, creation, lots of them. Culture here, in biology, we might be thinking about indigenous plants that are common for a particular area. In geography, we might be comparing some landscapes in different countries or different maybe regions, areas of the same country. So again, how you deal with it, that all depends on the teacher usually. Well, of course, on the course book, if you have it. If you don't have it, let's say when I teach CLIL in university to psychology students, we don't have many course books, unfortunately. So I have to come up with my own activities and exercises. Now, let's finally do some let's practice a little bit. So sorry it's not very big, but I had to squeeze everything on one slide. So what you need to do, you see main aims of CLIL, A, B, C, D, and you see 7 classroom activities. All these aims are either about content or communication skill or cognitive skill or some cultural elements, citizenship. So what you need to do, you need to match. Find particular aim for each classroom activity. I'll give you a few minutes, and if you have your answers, I will be happy to look at them in the chat, okay? Sorry, I didn't put the question on the slide. It didn't fit in. The whole idea is just to match classroom activity with the main aim of a CLIL lesson. We just discussed that aims usually concern 4 C's, right? So try to match. A lot of right, a lot of correct answers. I will show the answers, obviously. Let us just try first a little bit. It's interesting how people start with number 7. I often also start from the last one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a good idea also if you maybe make notes on your piece of paper, so then you can check yourself. We have a lot of people today, and I don't have enough time to look at all your answers and give feedback, of course. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we can all agree that 1B and 7D, this is correct, I think, because most people are correct here. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you very much. Uh-huh. Most answers I see are correct. Just maybe a few bits. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's look at the answers here. Mm-hmm. So please now stop writing in the chat, and if you have your notes on your piece of paper, compare. Yeah, it looks like, well, when I look at it now, I'm very sorry. It looks like there is a mistake on my slide. Yeah, you're absolutely right. In number 2. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how it happened. I checked and double checked it, but okay. I apologized in advance. I'm sorry. So I was ill, right? No, why? You ask why 2 is D? No, 2 is C, obviously. Yeah, 2C. I'm sorry. Why 2 mistakes? Where is the second one? No, the rest is fine. The rest is fine. 2C. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. So people who wrote 2C, you were absolutely right. Okay. Okay. I apologize. I apologize, but good for your that you're being very attentive. Now let's switch to something else. Glossary. As I showed before, there is a separate, PDF. You can download it online for free, which gives the glossary for most common terms that are necessary for the CLIL exam, and just for, if you're interested in CLIL. Now let's write, I'll give you just half a minute to think. Write 3 or maybe maximum 5 words that are associated with CLIL when you think about it. So if I say CLIL glossary, what would be the buzzwords that immediately come to mind when you think about it? Okay, could you please write in the chat? Mm-hmm. 3 words, or maybe 3 to 5 words. Mm-hmm. Content, cognition, integrate skills, scaffolding, content, object language. Mm-hmm. Vocabulary, right. So most likely, yeah, your associations at least should be content and language, because this is the idea of CLIL, right? And most likely you will think maybe about skills, because there are also skills. Mm-hmm. Maybe now you have the main associations, these 4 C's: content, communication, cognition, culture? Good. Okay. Graphic organizers. Yes, thank you. That's also that would be the buzzword for CLIL. Okay. Let's stop at this point. I see lots of terms, and now let's try to do the following. I'm going to post a link, so please don't write anything so people don't lose this link. I will post a link in the chat now. This is a link to an external resource. If you want to try to do exercise actively, you know, online, you don't need to log out, of course, once again, right? So let's try. Here is the link. If you don't feel like going and following the link, or it's not comfortable, then you will be doing this exercise from a slide. People who follow the link, this is a matching exercise where you drag and drop. So you drag the box on the left and put it into correct place on the slide. Okay, so if you are not following the link, please do it from the slide, and I'll give you some time in silence to do that. Yeah, if you can give me feedback if it's working, I would be really happy. Great, yes. At the end, people who are doing it online, you will get your answers corrected and checked. What is scalp? That's a very good question. We'll talk about it a little bit later. That's why I'm checking your glossary knowledge, right? Well, CALP stands for Cognitive Academic Language Proficiency, okay? If it doesn't work, Marina, if it doesn't work with your gadget, please do it from the slide. Just make notes on your notebook. In your notebook, I will show the answers in a minute or so, okay? 9 from 9, well done. Okay, clever you, people. 9 from 9, great. I'll give you another minute, okay? And then please come back. Okay, 5 from 9. Well, it's also a good result. It's your first attempt, so well done. Great. So once again, where this vocabulary glossary comes from? It comes from the list of vocabulary. I showed it on the slide with books. You can find it online for free. You can download it. You can study it. Also, I'll be talking while you're coming back, okay? If you use this book, which is the basic one for the preparation, on each page, you will see that some vocabulary is in bold, you know? There is a page and some words will be somehow highlighted. So this is the active vocabulary you need to know. So one way is to read the glossary, which is quite boring, right? Let's agree. Well, at least I never could understand this, reading the glossary. But reading the book and studying the material and paying attention to the vocabulary, this could be a good idea, okay? So if you missed it, I see someone missed it, you can go back, go up and find the link. Oh, I can just post it again for people who missed it, but you can save the link and do it later, right? So don't worry if you missed it. Now, let's open the answers. So people who did it here with me from the slide can check. So soft CLIL, the first one, then inquiry skills, then hard CLIL, soft and hard we've discussed. Differentiation, support for learners who are either less or more able than others in class, so differentiation of learners basically. Bix and Calc, we'll talk about it in some time, a little bit later, so don't worry. Critical thinking, well, I think this one should be obvious. The only thing is not to mix it up with, let's say, creative thinking or some other type of thinking. Metacognition, this is thinking about thinking, right? It's more like self-reflection, self-analysis, understanding how we think, how we analyze something. This is metacognition. Creative thinking, well, I guess it's also more or less obvious, 5 out of 9 the first time I see definitions. Well, Yelena, well done then. Well done. These well, like, honestly speaking, of course, creative thinking, critical thinking, metacognition, these are not only CLIL terms, obviously, right? You will see this in, I don't know, in any methodology books. So a lot of vocabulary that we see in the glossary for CLIL, it's the same as for any other qualification, for CELTA, for Delta, and most books would be using it. Some terminology can be more specific and CLIL specific, soft, hard, Bix and CALP, for example, right? So there is a high chance you will know half of it if you look at the glossary. Now, let's talk about cognitive skills. Remember that CLIL is about skills, different types of skills. One of that is cognition and cognitive skills. I think everyone knows in this room, everyone knows Bloom's taxonomy, and I'm not going to discuss it again because, I mean, you've seen it probably a million times. But a quick reminder here is that these skills, cognitive skills, this pyramid has 2 groups of skills, right? And normally we call them lots and HOTS. Lots would be low order thinking skills. So thinking skills that, well, of a lower level, let's put it this way. And the other 3, we have HOTS. HOTS would be higher order thinking skills. Obviously, these are skills that require more preparation, more mental ability. They are more cognitively demanding. I think here general logic also works, and you understand that we don't start immediately with HOTS, right? Students come to the classroom and you start learning, studying some topic, and you don't immediately ask them to analyze or evaluate something. Most likely you will go from the bottom of the pyramid and you will build it up slowly to the top. And creativity, this is normally the last, or more or less the last stage. And that is why very often CLIL lessons finish with some project when they need to create something. But of course, before that, there is a whole well, chain and sequence of activities. So lots and HOTS. just a reminder for you. Now, let's look at this. It's a shorter activity here. Only 3 questions to answer. 1, 2, 3. Be careful. You need to mark the letter which is not an example of a cognitive skill, okay? It's a very typical type of activity for TKT exams. So, which is not? Again, write your answers in the chat. 3 numbers we need. 1, 2, 3. You don't see the slides? Okay, someone is writing that slides are not shown. Can you tell me if you don't see them? Yeah, some people can see. If you don't see, probably refresh the page, okay? So apparently it's from your side, not from mine. My connection should be good. Thank you, yeah. So 1, 2, 3 with letters, please. Right. Again, please remember, we are writing what is not an example of a cognitive skill, okay? It's a tricky question. Many people make mistakes because they don't, well, they forget about the task. Okay, I see a lot of answers. Let me show them now. So the first one, B, wouldn't be a low order thinking skill. Because B, it's you tell your partner why is giving reason. That's high order thinking skill, not a low order thinking skill. This second one, C, change the circuit by shortening the wires. That's not even, I don't even know why it is here. It's a weird one. So it's not a high order thinking skill. And the last one would be B. Agree where to place each stage of the life cycle of a plant in the diagram. So it's not ranking, right? You have a diagram and you fill it in what goes after what. So B is not ranking ordering, okay? Some people write 1C. No, 1 is B. And again, be careful with the task. You are marking the letter which is not an example. 1C, green, orange, purple, write down the word to describe these colors. Description, this is a low order thinking skill to describe. Red, orange, round, big, small, this is low order. Even kids can do that. So yeah, C is absolutely correct. 1B would be the answer. Okay, right, thank you very much. Yeah, very interesting, thank you. I also think that's interesting, and even if you're not going to take the test, I think it's quite interesting to try to answer. Oh, by the way, I haven't mentioned, in the book, there are examples and there are tests to try. So it's not just a book with theory. There are a lot of sample tests here. So while doing, you read each section and then you check yourself. Well, that's because it's a preparation book, right? It's not a like theoretical one, and you can do it, you know, for fun. Okay, one more about cognitive skills, a little bit different, but what you need to do, you need to choose cognitive skill which matches each activity. Imagine you give an activity to your students. For example, read your partner's description of a rainforest ecosystem, so you give the instruction, here is the activity. What cognitive skill you are aiming at, okay? Again, 20, 21, 22, these are your numbers, and ABC letters. Some people are really quick, thank you. Thank you. Good news is that the more you do these types of tasks, the better you become. The quicker, the faster. Yeah, I see a lot of people writing answers. Let me show them. BAC. Right. So the first one, this is evaluating. Because what you need to do, you need to suggest improvements. So you look at someone's paper description and you think, oh, it's good, but I can add this and this and this. To improve something, you need to evaluate it, right? So 20B, that's evaluation. 21, you're looking at 4 musical instruments in the picture and you discuss why they are used in different musical contexts. Anything about why this, why that, it's usually analysis, right? That's why it's analyzing. 22, look at the 3 descriptions of fish that live in caves. Write down the similarities and say why you think these fish have all evolved in these ways. Reasoning. From this list, it's obviously reasoning, again, high level of explanation, of analysis. I'm actually, when I see this, I sometimes feel sad that I wasn't taught like this at school, because I think this is a very interesting way to teach students, and the topics in CLIL are usually very interesting. So, well, if you feel the same, feel free to try CLIL soon when you start your next lesson. Okay, right, so BAC, the answer's here. Let's move on. Now, we talked about cognitive skills, high order, low order, and different variants. Now, let's talk about communication skills. Communication skills, obviously, these are skills that help us to communicate, right? And there could be multiple variants here, because when we communicate, we might be doing very different things. And normally, when we talk about communicative skills for general English, we usually think about functional language, something like agree, disagree, interrupt, right? So all this, and this is what we focus on for exams, for example. Here, you might also have this, obviously, because in CLIL lesson, you might also want your students to agree, disagree, to interrupt each other, but the focus here is a little bit different because they need to communicate about content. And when you discuss types of fish or plants or whatever topic, of course, communication becomes more complicated because the topic is quite complicated. So we have A, B, C, D, 5 different, let's say, instructions or tasks. What you need to do, you need to choose what communication skill is used for each of this. So again, you can write these numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or whatever in any order. Okay. B5. Okay. Oh, you're really quick. Some people are so quick. Yeah, I see Alexander. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yes, Oksana, thank you. Julia, Victoria. Yeah, what I see, most people are correct. Great. This one should be easier than cognitive skills. Well, at least for me, they are easier, communication skills. Okay, you're very clever, everyone. Thank you. Again, maybe I'm rushing you, but I'm sorry we don't have much time, and I'm giving an overview here, right? So we'll probably have to move on. These are the answers. The numbers were 4, 5, 1, 3, 2. And as far as I could see, people were, yeah, most people were correct. So let's quickly look at them. A, graph shows the rise in vehicle experts, right? So what is happening? The person is explaining a diagram. Then B, life at that time was very difficult. Diseases such as malaria spread quickly. Diseases such as, that's definitely a way to give an example. And by the way, if you were teaching a CLIL lesson and you were teaching communication skill, giving an example, of course you would also introduce language to give examples. Such as, for example, something like, or I don't know, so communication skills will be closely connected with the language that you would need. So, as we said, C would be suggesting a solution, D, checking instructions, E, describing cause and effect. These are only 5 communication skills. If you start preparation and you look at this book or some other books you can find on CLIL, you will see that skills or communication skills, that's a whole range of things. But most of them are quite, I would say, clear, understandable, and obvious. And most of them would exist in general English classes, because giving examples, explaining a diagram, you can do this in not only in CLIL lesson, of course, right? So this one should be quite easy. This comes also from TKT test. Let's do another one, and then we'll have some break from from tasks. So you need to mark correct letter 1, 2, 3. Which communication skill was used. Okay. Thank you. And again, everyone is correct. You see how quick you are. Let me open the answers. Remember, I mentioned at the beginning that you have 80 minutes, and these are examples of exam questions. So you have about 1 minute for one question. Here you have 3 questions. And I think it took you less than a minute to do all 3. You see, so you're much quicker, which means that 80 minutes is more than enough to do the TKT CLIL. Okay, let's look at point number 2. Some people are writing that it's B. Let's look at it. Social revolution is happening due to the influence of new technology. What is it due to, right? Due to, it's because of. So because of the influence of new technology, social revolution is happening. So basically what we're doing, we are explaining the reasons why social revolution is happening. And explaining reasons, this is what? This is cause and effect. We have something that happened because of something else. So this is cause and effect. It's not reporting a prediction. We're not predicting anything here or expressing an agreement, right? We are describing cause and effect. Usually from my experience, when you do the test, one of these variants will be for sure wrong. So you look at it and you understand that, okay, this is a wrong one. 2 other ones can be quite similar because they tried to make your life more difficult, right? And they try to give you variants that would be, how to say, misleading you in a way. So be careful here, okay? Some people say it's simple. Yeah, I mean, maybe this one is simple, something else would be difficult. It's all different actually, yeah. CLIL is tricky, but I think because it's interesting, it's actually quite motivating. Right, okay. Finally, what we have here, we have Bix and Kelp. Coming back to our glossary question, remember? So what is Bix? I always have my notes because I've been doing CLIL for 15 years, I still can't remember. So Bix, that's basic interpersonal communicative skills. Basic interpersonal communicative skills. What is it? It is language that we use to communicate in everyday situations. So this is our, let's say, usual language. What is Kelp? Kelp, it's something that is built on the basis of Bix. So Kelp, and again, I'm sorry, I will have to look at my notes. This is cognitive academic language proficiency. Cognitive academic language proficiency. This is a higher level of language that is normally used for academic purposes or academic contexts. And of course, language that young learners use or language that we use at university, these are 2 different, well, languages. But generally in CLIL, what we see that we don't always use general language like Bix. We very often, especially at higher levels in CLIL, this basic language will be substituted by something more academic, more specific. And here you see how the same phrase can be expressed differently in, a regular English and in more academic English. So for example, if you want to say it happens a lot, you can say it occurs frequently, and many more variants, obviously, right? So when you want to say, for example, number 3, I've got the answer, you can say I have found the solution. And both would mean more or less the same. So what we teach in CLIL, coming back to CLIL, of course, is that we teach them how to express the same idea in a more, well, I would call it fancy, in a fancier way, And normally we do it at the university level, right? Because, well, academic English is usually associated with university. However, if you teach CLIL, even at lower levels and younger ages, you will be introducing some elements of Kelp. Maybe some words, maybe some collocations. You still will be doing it, okay? So this is when we talk about language, right? We talked about cognitive skills, we talked about communicative communicative skills. Let's talk about language in another way. 2 more terms that you need to know for CLIL. This is types of vocabulary. So vocabulary could be content obligatory. Again, it's a term that you need to know for CLIL exam, for CLIL test, or content compatible. So content obligatory vocabulary, in other words, this is subject-specific vocabulary. It means that you teach particular words, phrases, collocations that are specific for this particular area. So, for example, when you say delta in geography, delta would mean a very particular thing, right? It's a term. So this is, or I don't know, vertebrate, invertebrate. This would be also something specific for biology. However, there are also lots of terms and lots of, maybe collocations that exist not only in one area, one science. These words would be common for different subjects. For example, small, large. Can they be used in geography? Yes, of course. Can they be used in other subjects? Yes. So here what you need to remember is there are 2 types, 2 blocks of vocabulary. Content obligatory, something that comes from content, and content compatible. It means that it comes in various contents and contexts. It might change a little bit, or it could be even very, very similar, Right, this is about language. Now, another small test for you about language. What you need to do, you need to mark the correct letter AF. Sorry, I had to cut it to fit it into one slide. And there will be one extra option that you don't need to use. Okay, you have 5 examples of language and 6 letters. So obviously 1 letter is extra. Okay, feel free to write your answers in the chat. Yeah, hello, people from different countries. Hello, hello. In pandemic times when I can't travel, and I like traveling very much, it's good to see people from all over the world. Thank you for being here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right, correct, good. Mm-hmm. And again, you're very quick. I guess less than a minute. Well done. Some people thinking that B is an extra one, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, let me show you the answers. Mm-hmm. F, D, C, A, E. And well, as far as I could follow your quick answers in the chat, everything was correct. Well done. Well done. Mm-hmm. So you see, this one is not asking you about Bix or CALP or about content obligatory or content compatible vocabulary. This is something more, I would say, that we would probably think of a general English test, but still you can find such CLIL questions as well. Mm-hmm. FDC AE, okay. Thank you very much. And yes, B is an extra one. It's an extra option. Now, something that I like very much in CLIL is how graphic, how visual it is. First of all, CLIL lessons have a lot of pictures. I mean, illustrations. Also, CLIL lessons have a lot of maps, have a lot of diagrams, tables, and different types of diagrams. Maybe you are also using diagrams in your regular classes, not CLIL. Well, most people do. However, if you ever would like to do CLIL test, you will have to know the names of these diagrams. So let's have a look. The first two, I have 3 slides with different diagrams. How would you call them, these two? Just give me 2 words, the names of these diagrams. You will need these names for the exams, for the CLIL exam. Process, circuit, interesting. Mind map. Well, mind map can be all of them, you know, whatever you design, whatever graphic, you know, picture you design, it could be mind map. Organization chart, circuit, flow chart, sequence, grid and flow chart. Well, what I should say is that in different let's say exams, so in different books, you might find different names for different diagrams. That's true. Here, I will be giving you those terms that are used for CLIL exam, okay? So if you know another name for this diagram, good for you. But in the test, most likely you will see the terms that I give you, okay? Flowchart. Well, many people say flowchart. Unfortunately, it's not. It's not a flowchart. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, but it is not. Learning steps. Interesting. It is. Of course, we are talking about learning steps, but it's not the name of the diagram. Cycle diagram. Brainstorm. Okay. Brainstorm, I would say this is more type of activity that we do. But after brainstorming, we visualize it and put it in a particular visual form. And obviously, it could be this form or that form. So we are more interested in the names. Thank you. Okay, some people were correct. Let's have a look. The first one here in, again, TKT CLIL methodology, this is called cycle diagram. If you know other names, again, feel free to call them this way. However, here we have a cycle and a tree diagram. Tree diagram, which goes from one big element, goes into smaller ones. Okay, let's try others. 3 here. 3 variants. So if you write 3 words in the chat, what are the names? Pie chart. Graph. Well, all of them are graphs in, well, or at least half of them are graphs in a way. Pie chart. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Table. People who write table for the second one. It's kind of a table, but there is a special name for this table. Bar chart, the third one, yeah. So most people agree that the first one is pie chart because it looks like a pie, right? I mean, it's quite obvious. And the last one, these vertical elements, yes, they're called bars. Yeah, well done. However, we have a question about the second one. It is a table. I mean, kind of a table in everyday life, we might call it a table. However, there is a special name for it. It's called Carroll diagram. Because what the table, I will show it on the next slide. The table, it's when you have a sort of a head and then the like columns and rows. Here, Carroll diagram, if you look carefully at it, you see that there are elements here, and the table, though it's not a table, a diagram. These are all elements at the intersection of like the vertical ones and the horizontal ones. So this one, it's a Carroll diagram. If you've never seen this name before, make a mental note or write it down. Who is Carroll? That's a good yeah, that's a good question. Who is Carroll? Right. Okay. And the last slide. Well, I think we all agree immediately about number 37. Yeah, it's a table, but also there is a special name for this table, though it's the most classical one. In 38, a lot of people write that it's a Venn diagram. Yes, it is. It is. Well done. When we have these circles and we look at the intersection of these circles, yeah, Venn diagram. Well done. So, first of all, I should say that all of them are quite common for CLIL lessons, because these graphic organizers help you to develop cognitive skills. Remember, we talked about cognitive skills earlier. So after reading a text, what might happen? You might ask your students to fill in a table or create a diagram or create some other scheme. It could be a mind map, which is a separate one also. So all of them are quite common. Of course, if you're teaching a regular lesson, not a CLIL lesson, of course you also use them, and they will also contribute to cognitive development. Well, obviously. Okay, now let's talk about planning a CLIL lesson. When you plan a lesson, most likely in CLIL methodology, you will start with so-called learning outcomes. Learning outcomes are kind of the results that you expect your learners to achieve by the end of the lesson. Well, in CELTA or Delta, we normally call them objectives or goals or aims. Here we call them outcomes. So there are some examples here. Let's say, to know about food chains and give examples of them. To be able to represent food chains and diagrams. To be able to make impersonal statements using passive forms. As you see, each outcome focuses a little bit on different things. Let's say the last one is more grammatical, so it's more language. It has a bigger language focus. To know about food chains and give examples of them, the first one, obviously it's more about content, right? And to be able to represent food chains and diagrams, number 2. This is content and communication. Will it include some language? Yes, obviously, right? So all these 4 C's and all the skills will be interconnected here. When we write learning outcomes, most likely you will be thinking about these 4 elements. You'll be thinking about knowledge, so you will expect that your learners will know something. Then you will think what they need to understand, so they will have to understand these, and that. Then you will be talking about ability, and you will formulate it as to be able to. My learners will be able to describe, analyze, compare, and so on. And the last one is awareness, to be aware of. So all 4 are common models to describe learning outcomes of a CLIL lesson. Do we have similar things in regular lesson? Yes, obviously, but you might be formulating them differently. In CLIL methodology, this is how you would normally do it, okay? Let's quickly just, though they might be obvious, but let's quickly look at the purpose of learning outcomes and why these learning outcomes, when you formulate them, why they're useful for teachers and for learners. So first, the purpose, again, quite obvious, but still, learning outcomes, when you formulate it explicitly, it helps you to understand for yourself as a teacher what your learners will be able to do at the end of the lesson, right? Or series of lessons. So it helps you to have a clear focus. What is happening, why it is happening. And you expect most learners to be able to achieve that. That's why you write these learning outcomes. Why it's useful for you also as a teacher. You can describe course content in this way. Learning outcomes help you to design the tasks, right? You can also use it as a checklist. For example, you planned 3 or 4 learning outcomes, and by the end of the lesson, you can look at them again and basically check what you've achieved or what you haven't achieved so far. And it's much easier to assess, right, if you have understanding of outcomes. As for the learners, it's also useful, obviously, because learners also know what they need to achieve. Let's say for older students, for higher level students, you can provide learning outcomes at the beginning, or you can tell your students what the focus will be, and they can track their progress themselves. Why not? So it helps to kind of self-assess, right? For self-assessment. Okay. Now, there are 3 learning outcomes written on my slide. The task here is very simple. Please guess what subject these learning outcomes come from. 3 different learning subjects. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a simple one. It's more like a relaxing question. It should be simple. History, geography, and history, geography. Okay, people say biology, microbiology, chemistry. Okay, usually in CLIL, this will go under the section of science. Sometimes they will specify what kind of science, so it could be biology or it could be chemistry, but it's also safe to say science in general. History, geography, that's all clear, of course. Yeah, thank you very much. Right. Yeah, just science, just science. And if you look for CLIL materials online, you will often see CLIL geography, CLIL biology, CLIL art, CLIL science as a separate area. Okay. Now, we've understood what is learning outcomes, right? And how we formulate them through special, forms to be able to know, to understand, and so on. Also, what is important to remember when you formulate learning outcomes? Of course, you're thinking about content. You're thinking about language, right? What language forms, what vocabulary will you be teaching and will you be assessing? Don't forget about communication skills. We've discussed them already, right? You also they will contribute to the learning outcomes. Cognitive skills, obviously. Different resources, what you will use, where will this information come from? Also, you'll be thinking about assessment, right? It's also connected. You're thinking about procedure, what goes after what, right? You plan your lesson and how it will fit the syllabus. So what was happening in the previous lesson, what will be happening next, and your CLIL lesson might be just separate from the whole curriculum. You might be just having CLIL lessons once in a while, or you might integrate your CLIL lesson into the whole syllabus and connect it with other general English lessons. So again, it's up to you. And now let's have a look at this one. So you need to match different elements of lesson planning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with different things that happen in the lesson. It's A, B, C, D, E, okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people agree that A3, yes, it is. Mm-hmm. 4C, yeah. Mm-hmm. Good, good. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, let me open the answers for you. So if you were writing the numbers, then the answers were 3, 1, 4, 2, 5. So in A, we activate prior knowledge because brainstorming what they remember, right? It means that we activate what they already know, activate schemata or prior knowledge. So B is obviously language focus. Then analyzing something, identifying in C, that's skills. Here, communicative, cognitive go together. They could be separate. Here, they go together. D, obviously, resources that we use. And E, how we assess. Learners can do. Learners are able to do this and this and that. This would be type of assessment. Okay? Yeah, so 3, 1, 4, 2, 5. Good. Let's do another one on lesson planning. Or maybe 1 or 2, I don't remember now. So here, a little bit different thing. You have comments, teachers' comments here, 7 of them. And you have lesson plan headings. I know, guys, probably you are tired already, but we are almost done, okay? So last 15 minutes. So please match teachers' comments with lesson plan headings, okay? A, B, C, D. Again, if you feel like, write in the chat or write down in your notebook, and then I'll show the answers. You will check. Okay, someone is writing, you cannot see. If you can't see, probably you need to refresh the page because maybe it's something with the connection. So once again, because I'm not sure we're all on the same page here, we have teachers' comments from 1 to 7, and each of these comments should match some heading, A, B, C, or D. So letters will be repeated, right? You have only 4 lesson plan headings, 4 letters. Of course, they will be repeating. Well done. Okay. Okay, let me open the answers because we're running out of time, okay? If you need more time, I'm sorry, probably take a picture of the slide and you can do it later if you want. And for now, check yourself, okay? So it's CBA, A, B, C, D. Yeah, I see a lot of correct answers. Well done. Good. So you see, when we slowly came through different types of skills, language, then we discussed what learning outcomes are. Like step by step, the same happens if you prepare for TKT CLIL with a book. You will see how easy and easier it gets, you know. Okay, now let us skip this one. Yeah, let's skip. And finally, what I want to talk about, this is scaffolding. Remember, someone asked at the beginning what is scaffolding. It's basically support, but in real life, scaffolding, this is construction. When we build a house, scaffolding, these are these let's say constructions that we built to build the house, you know, something like this. And this is just a comic strip joke. So there was CLIL lesson, and the teacher is saying that it seems today during the CLIL lesson the scaffolding went down. Obviously that's a pun, a word play. Scaffolding went down, as if scaffolding of the building went down. So let's talk about scaffolding quickly. If we want to support our learners, what are the possible ways? First of all, of course, we need to create interest in the topic or task. So this is working with motivation. Scaffolding, in this case, is more psychological rather than linguistic, right? You want students to be interested in what you study. What I know from CLIL lessons, many students who were not interested in the topic before CLIL lesson often get very interested. So they think that biology is boring, chemistry is difficult, maths is unbearable, or something like this. After CLIL, when you start introducing this, they suddenly understand that, oh, I didn't know, biology actually is interesting. You see, so this is with working with motivation. And then another good strategy is when you try to simplify the task and break it down into smaller steps. By the way, this works, of course, not only for CLIL, it works for every lesson. But we remember, right, you should remember that CLIL lessons are cognitively challenging because they study content and they study something that maybe they don't know in first language. So if some topic is difficult, you probably need to get it into, to cut it into small chunks. Discussing the aim of the task and reminding learners about the aim of the task could be also a type of scaffolding. Demonstrating what learners should do. For example, when you give them a chart or graph to complete, very often they need just a model, an illustration what should be done, right? Also, modeling language. We do this. Again, we don't do it only in CLIL, we do it in every lesson, but still. A lot of visual and auditory support, we mentioned it earlier, and giving positive feedback, also quite a general technique. What do we do now? And this would be the final thing you do. I'm going to send you another link. It's interactive, small task, only 4 questions, okay? So let's do it. 4 questions, then you will come back and we'll finish up. So please stop writing in the chat, okay? I'm sending a link. So you can try to play this small game online. It will look like this. You will have a question and 4 variants of answers. You need to choose one and you will immediately see if it's correct or not. Like before, do it and come back, okay? Okay, once again, yeah, it got lost in the messages. Yeah, I'm sending it again. And here's the link again. Try it out, should be working. Let me know if it doesn't work, but it should be. You can, well, I don't know if you need to write answers right now. You can write them in your notebooks. Done. Well done. Good. You're quick. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. These are regular TKT CLIL questions. I just put them into a different format, right? So this is absolutely comes from TKT preparation past papers, so don't worry. We're not playing games here. We are preparing, basically. 4 out of 4. Many people here wrote it. Okay. Yeah, so the first one was C, right? The teacher asked us to look at the history sources and to think of 3 ways they were connected to what we had read, making links with what learners know. The first one was C. Second one, before we watched a video about how an engine's made, so on. The second one was A. Then I just have, I will quickly show them. D, right? And the last one was B. Yes. Oh yeah, there is nothing wrong with a good game. I absolutely agree. Good. And the last one, and I have 5 minutes still. The last thing I wanted to mention is assessment. Here, okay, I will not torture you more with asking, write down the assessment types. Let me just tell you. Assessment types in CLIL are well, let's say very similar to regular assessment procedures in all other types of lessons. That's why we will not spend a lot of time on this. I'll just show you that in CLIL, you will also be doing summative formative assessment. There will be peer assessment, self-assessment. You might be using portfolios, paper version or electronic like e-portfolios, or performance assessment. There could be probably more variants, but these are like the most common ones. And this is, I promise, this is really the last, the last task. We do this, I give you the last final words, and we finish up. So please match the assessment activities with the types of assessment. Okay. Okay, Marina, I see your question in the chat. I will make a note for myself. I will answer it later, okay? When we finish. Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Mm-hmm. As you've noticed, one of the letters will be extra, right? Because we have 5 questions and 6 types of assessment. So one will be extra. Okay, let me open the answers and say a few words. So the first one, this is a formative assessment. Second one, 72, this is portfolio, when you collect works. Then 73 would be peer assessment, 74 summative, 75 self-assessment. What is interesting, many people included F, performance assessment. However, it's not even here, it's not on the list. What is performance assessment? Performance assessment, it's when you give a test or exam at the end. So for example, I don't know, famous performance assessment tests, it's like FCE or CPE. So these tests measure the performance of students. Here we don't have example of performance assessment, you see. So performance, it's not just how well you did at the lesson or something. Performance assessments are usually done by separate, good, well-designed test. This is performance assessment, okay? Right, so I think we're done here. Here are the resources again. And once again, I would repeat that for the TKT CLIL module, your key books would be the orange one, the TKT course CLIL module, and two white guides, the handbook for teachers and the glossary. Both can be found online at cambridgeenglish.org. I'll have it next slide. And if you want to go deeper and if you want to use CLIL in your teaching practice, then other books would be a good idea. So I also have references like this. If you want, you can take a picture. These are books that I've been using for the preparation. And here is the website, cambridgeenglish.org or at teachers.cambridgeenglish.org. This is specific rubric for teachers. So if you still have questions, feel free to ask me now. If you want to get in touch, this is me, and this is how to find me. Okay. Recordings, yes, you will get the recordings. And now let me look at the questions. I see a lot of thanks. Thank you very much for, you've been a great audience and you've done a lot of cognitive work today. And I hope I've developed your cognitive skills as well, okay? Right, one of the questions I've seen is, one of the questions about, once again, modules. TKT CLIL is a separate module. It's one of two specialist modules. Someone asked whether it's TKT module 1. No, it's a separate one. You have TKT module 1 and then CLIL. But yes, questions might be similar. That is true. That is true. Someone asked me, what's the difference between CLIL and ESP and other variants of specific Englishes? Well, CLIL, once again, it's when you teach content and you teach language, more or less equally. Again, we balance it, but more or less equally. ESP, this is English for specific purposes. And as it comes from the name, it's first of all English. So you teach English for the purposes that your learners have. For example, business communication. This would be closer to ESP. Of course, it's a separate business English course, but if your students need English for particular, purposes could be different. So you teach language for this particular purpose or reason, to communicate abroad, to, I don't know, to present in public or something like this. CLIL, it's always content, biology, history, chemistry, and so on, and language. If we talk about professional English, then it's EOP, English for occupational purposes. It means that I need English for a job. For example, I need to hold international meetings in English. Or I don't know, I'm a pilot and I need English for my reasons. I'm a nurse and I need it for this, and that. So this would be EOP, English for occupational purposes. They're quite close, all of them, but still, it's still English, you see? EOP, ESP, it's English. Focus is on language. CLIL, dual focus. Also, there is EMI, English for, English as a medium of instruction. It means that you use English to give a lecture, basically, in a subject. And minimum language support is given. You just lecture your students, and you suppose that they understand everything. So EMI, this is it. Someone also asked about contextualized to context-based English. I'm not sure what this one as a separate one, I'm not sure, but usually CLIL is mixed up with EMI, ESP, EOP. Yeah, so I've told you the difference. Okay, do we have any more questions or not? Okay, which book is the most efficient for TKT? Well, if we're talking about CLIL module, TKT CLIL module preparation, then this book, yeah, because that's the basic one. And it's not big, right? It's quite manageable. I would start with this one. For other modules, you also have TKT preparation books, but I don't have them with me now to show you, but they all look more or less the same, the orange, bluish, whatever book with different names. Module 1 to 3, CLIL. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we are done here. Yeah, I see someone is, Marina is saying there is also контекстное обучение Verbitsky. Yes, I know, but because we're talking about English versions here, I'm not mentioning it. Okay, there is again a question, what is TKT CLIL module? It doesn't exist any longer. It used to be there. It's knowledge about language, but it's not, it doesn't exist, I guess, since 2016. Where can we see examples of a CLIL lesson? Well, you can find YouTube videos with CLIL lessons. Just Google that. You can, actually, they're easily found. CLIL lesson plans you can find online. CLIL is super popular, so it's not difficult. Just, I will suggest Googling. There isn't one platform. However, okay, let me check. If you want, let me give you one name. If you want to read more about CLIL, you might want to check website of Patrick de Boer. He's from the Netherlands. And, oh, sorry, Patrick, of course, misspelled. He has online journal of CLIL, and in autumn, he organized an online CLIL conference, and he has lots of materials on CLIL. He has his own website, his blog, so if you want, you can read materials. And he also has, what's the word? He can send material to your mailbox subscription. Oh my goodness, right, so you can subscribe. Yes. So Patrick de Boer. I'm not sure I pronounced it correctly, though, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you very much. I'll stay here for a couple more minutes if you have any questions. Okay, I see more questions here. Okay, I see a question from Anastasia Denisova. So, Yekaterina, I'm a teacher in a state school and I have a part-time job in a language school, and I can have students of various ages, from young learners to elder teens. I was thinking about taking a TKT exam. Can you advise me on what type of module to take first? Well, actually, I don't think there is a correct answer here. You can take them in any order. I like module about lesson planning because it's, first of all, it's useful. So I guess it's second module, TKT module 2. So probably if you're interested in it, you can start with this one. I would just look through the contents and choose the material that you're more interested in. If you want to focus more on young learners, then probably TKT young learners. Yes, you will get the recording. People are still asking. Could you please give a site where you can download books on CLIL? Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I know websites where you can download. There is material, some basic material, at least the handbook at cambridgeenglish.org. You can start from there, obviously. Okay, is it possible to take TKT online? I guess we need to address this to our Cambridge assistant here. Yulia, could you answer this question, please? Can we take TKT online? I'm not sure. Probably. Yes, thank you, Yulia. Can we take TKT online? There is a question.
No, unfortunately, TKT is not available online. At the moment, we have approved online CELTA course. So that was one of our measures to resist pandemics. And what else? Well, no, TKT is not available online. So you can prepare for it online, but actually to take the test, you need to register at one of our authorized exam centers. And well, it will be an offline test because it must be invigilated, and there are special people who assist you during the exam.
Okay, thank you.
Well, maybe we need to wait for some time. Maybe one day it will be available, but not at the moment.
Okay, right. And also, there is a question how the test results are assessed. That's a very good question. Sorry for not mentioning. You get bands from 1 to 4. Band 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 is the highest, depending on how many points you get out of 80. I don't remember exactly the criteria, but you can find it in the handbook. And handbook you can download at cambridgeenglish.org, which I mentioned earlier. Yes. Yes, people are asking how many correct answers. I can't tell you right now. I can check in the handbook, but I think it's just not to spend everyone's time. You can easily find it in the handbook yourself. It's very, very transparent, very, very clear. Okay. Right. How much does the exam cost? Can we answer this question?
Well, it depends on the country and city. So please contact the local exam center. The contact details of all exam centers are available on our website, cambridgeenglish.org. You choose your country, you choose the city, and then you contact the exam center and find out about the price and available dates. So I see participants from different places, so it's difficult to speak about the price because, well, our representative office is in Moscow, in Russia, and in different countries,
yeah,
the price can be different.
But as far as I understand, the price is always connected to the pound exchange rate. So, and this is why the price might fluctuate a little bit because of the exchange, well, currency rate. Yeah. But to check, yes, you need to go online and find it for your country, for your region. Right.
Yes, I see lots of questions about the recording of the webinar and about the certificates of attendance. I'd like to say again that, yes, the recording will be available soon. Unfortunately, today there was some kind of a queue to our webinar room, and I know that some participants couldn't join at 4 p.m. Moscow time, so they joined a little bit later. So I tried to send the recording as soon as possible, maybe today or tomorrow, and the certificates of attendance will be shared a little bit later. So all participants well, provided their email addresses, so we will send a newsletter, a follow-up email with the recording, with the certificate, and some links to our website. I see again some questions about the links to the website with Find Exam Center page and some preparation materials. As Ekaterina mentioned, we have some sample tests, handbooks. These materials are free for download. And of course, there are some links to our partners' website, Cambridge University Press, where you can find some information about preparation materials like TKT course books. Okay, well, Tamara, we already have your email address, so there is no need to write your email addresses right now here in the chat box. We will send all the materials in a couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. I'm sure everyone has more interesting things to do now. So if we have no more questions, let's say that's it for today. Thank you for being with us. I'm sorry for my voice because I'm basically losing it. But it's my first webinar after my illness, so you should forgive me for this. Okay, have a nice evening, everyone. And I'll see you somewhere else, online or offline. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Ekaterina. Thank you. Thanks a lot. That was really great. Very, very interactive. 2 hours. And I believe that that was a fantastic beginning of our series of webinars about TKT. So today we talked about CLIL. On the 20th of January, we have a session about TKT-YL, TKT Young Learners, for teachers who are working with young learner students. And there will be 3 sessions on core modules of TKT. TKT Module 1, Module 2, and Module 3. These sessions will be held on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of January. So if you have already registered, well, that's great. If you haven't, please do register, and we will be happy to share our knowledge and our experience. Thanks again for joining us today. Have a lovely rest of the day and a great week ahead. So it's only Monday, and lots of things to do.
Yes. Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.